Good morning, Chicago Cubs fans. We are back with another edition of Cubs Daily. My name is Steven Ryan. We're going to talk about a couple of potential Japanese players who could be coming over across the pond this coming season. One is a utility player, one is a pitcher. We're also going to be grading Shota Imanaga's season, and I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on how the Cubs are going to approach the 2026 season. But before we get into all that, just want to give everyone a big thank you for all of the support here recently on Cubs Daily, all of the comments, liking the video, subscribing to the channel. You guys and gals are the absolute best. If you guys are new to the channel, please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know when you became a fan of the Cubs. And again, feel free to agree, disagree. I want to hear all the thoughts in the comment section below. So let's start with Kazuma Okamoto. Okay, he is a utility player from Japan. He is more of a contact style hitter. Here are some numbers for him, right? Japanese utility man Kazuma Okamoto could be a fit for the Cubs, right? He had 322, 411 on base percentage, 598, and 992 OPS, which is what you love to see in 77 games over in Japan. It's not across the pond, I'm sorry. Over in Japan, 15 home runs, 34 walks, only struck out 36 times. He primarily does play first base and third base, but he can play some outfield as well. Projected salary to be 4 years, $90 million. That might be within the Cubs' range. That might be what they want to see, especially potentially heading into a lockout. Willie Castro, odds are, is going to get a deal elsewhere, I would imagine. I liked Willie, but I just don't think, unfortunately, he did not get enough of an opportunity here. So maybe the Cubs bring him back on a one-year deal and give him an opportunity to play all across the infield. Now, obviously, Okamoto plays first base and third base. I think the Cubs are pretty well set at those positions. But that doesn't mean that those guys don't need days off, right? Michael Busch, I'm hoping this season they are going to give him the nod against left-handers more often. But I'm also willing to bet that on the days that Michael Busch does get off, I'm guessing a left-hander is going to be on the mound. And if this guy is more of a contact hitter, that could benefit the Cubs, right? Especially if we don't bring back Kyle Tucker. Obviously, Seiya hit 30 home runs, close to 30 home runs last year. Bush hit 30. PCA hit 30. We do have plenty of power on this team. Now, can we get some runners on base to drive in those runs? That is the question at hand. And I think maybe Okamoto could be a great fit on that front. Maybe he doesn't start right away because, again, the Cubs mostly have the starting positions locked down. But he could be brought in, pinch hitting situation. Maybe he brings a great approach to the plate. He played for Team Japan in the World Baseball Classic. He's a really good baseball player. Like you said, the OPS 992. Again, it's a different league. You gotta take it with a grain of salt, right? These numbers are going to be vastly different at the major league level. But again, maybe this guy's a great plug and play for this Cubs team. And, say a contract expires at the end of 2026, maybe you sign this guy to that 4-year, $90 million deal and kind of just move the plane along for Seiya Suzuki on that front. So Kazuma Okamoto is another potential option as well. Let's talk about Tetsuya Imai. He is a pitcher over in the NPB. And you know what? When you take a look at his footage, he's got a really quirky motion. Take a look at this right here. You see how he kind of delivers? The ball kind of comes out late in the sense. He hits 95 miles an hour. He's got a unique arm side slider, 47% whiff rate, and a splitter. Now, he's projected a 7-year, $154 million deal, 163 innings, 1.92 ERA. Those are really good numbers. It's just tough to translate that league over to the big leagues. But again, maybe this is the part where mentally I don't think the Cubs are going to approach it this way. Given what we constantly discuss here on Cubs Daily, I don't think the Cubs are going to approach it that way. But 7 years, $154 million, that is right up the alley for a Cubs deal. Unfortunately, I think the Cubs, when they want to spend that kind of money, want a much more proven player. And I'm not sure how proven he's going to be in that sense. Now, if he's a 3 or 4 year deal for 70, 80 million, that might be more up the Cubs' alley in terms of starting pitching. Do I think he could be a fit for the Cubs? Yes. Do I think the Cubs are going to sign him? No, I do not think they're going to do that. But again, you never know, right? You never know who Jed is truly interested in on the free agent front. But it is a potential good way to bolster that starting rotation and maybe plug and play with the utility man in Kazuma Okamoto. Now, let's discuss grading the Cubs. It's a little bit of a Japanese theme, this show, okay? Because we're going to grade Shota Imanaga. I'm giving him a C+. Now, when you look at Shota's numbers, you're going to be like, Steven, C+? It's a tale of two halves for me and Shota. And honestly, the second half, which is kind of like post his injury, was a lot longer of a stint than that first portion of the season where he was brilliant for this team. Again, Shota has been a staple of the staff for 2 seasons now. He's been really, really good. He was bitten by the injury bug. Unfortunately, the timing was so unfortunate. If these seasons were reversed, right, if he would have had this year as his rookie season and his rookie season as this season, the Cubs wouldn't even be hesitating. They would be picking up that option, locking him into that 3-year deal, and probably not even considering Tetsuya Imai if they are. But unfortunately, the seasons happened the way they happened, and it feels like Shota kind of got figured out, especially during the last half of the second half, right? His last 13 starts, he gave up 12 home runs, and like 7 or 8 of them were in the first inning. It just wasn't good. Could have been a mechanical issue? Absolutely. I know Shota's a gamer. I know he was going to try and work in figuring it out. But with the injury and, just kind of how everything tweaked his motion, unfortunately, he was very susceptible to the home run ball. And he basically was untrustworthy the last month and a half of the season. I was not comfortable with Shota going on the mound facing any of these players. I thought the Cubs were going to blow the lead. Did they win some of his starts? Absolutely. But there was a lot of struggle on that front as well. And if you want to take a look at some of his numbers, right, he had a great whip, right? It was below 1, which is what you want. That means he's allowing less than 1 runner per inning in his appearances, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, the problem is, I don't know where a home run equates to whip. I would imagine it adds to the whip, but technically speaking, well, it's walks and hits per innings pitched. So, again, close to 1, again, susceptible to the home run ball. I can't hammer that point home enough. He had a 3.73 ERA. Not too bad. Not what you want from an ace, but again, serviceable 2-3 arm in this rotation, no doubt. He had a great strikeout to K ratio, 144 innings pitched, but that ERA plus, right? That ERA plus was closer to just average than a lot of the Cubs starting pitchers this year, especially when you're talking about like Cade Horton and Matthew Boyd on that front as well. So, again, Shota, kind of an up and down season, and that's where I'm going to lean towards the C+ grade for him, unfortunately. He just didn't have his juice that he had his rookie season. Now, that doesn't mean he can't bring it back in the third season. Curious to see what the Cubs do. Like I told you guys, I think bare minimum the Cubs should extend that qualifying offer to him and try and get him back on the right track. I think it's a little risky to accept that team option and lock in for 3 seasons. But hey, you know what? The Cubs are going to make what they believe is the correct decision for their team. I like this pitching staff, and I like this pitching staff with Shota Imanaga on it. I am a fan, though, that is always kind of looking for an upgrade. Not necessarily always looking for an upgrade, but I'm open to things, okay? I'm open to getting creative, trying to find the right deal to potentially put this team over the top, especially if this team is not going to spend a dime trying to get near the Dodgers in terms of talent, right? So if the Cubs have to get creative to upgrade, I am all for it. Like, I was all for that Kyle Tucker trade. No offense to Cam Smith, I really don't care. Yes, he had a fantastic rookie season. Good for him. He's a Gold Glove finalist. Good for him. I don't think in the end he's going to be that kind of player for what this Cubs team needs right now, especially to try and compete and win a World Series. So let's move on and how I think the Cubs are going to approach the 2026 season. You're going to see over the channel, over the next month or, next few months, especially as the winter meetings ramp up and free agency opens its doors. We're going to be talking about a lot of hypothetical players, okay, ladies and gentlemen? I'm not saying the Cubs are going to sign everybody. I am not that kind of fan. I hope if you've been following me for a long time, you know I'm not that kind of fan. But I am someone who takes all things into consideration, okay? There was a comment in my video the other day. He's talking about we don't need catching. You're probably right. We don't need catching. I think Miguel Amaya was fine. Unfortunately, he just wasn't healthy. Carson Kelly, I don't anticipate him being that person again. The Cubs did, carry 3 catchers at some point. Curious to see if maybe they did add Real Muto for 1 season, right? And that's kind of my approach I think the Cubs are going to take this offseason, is they're going to be looking to supplement this team to help the young guys develop, but not necessarily go beyond what they just accomplished. So yeah, if they win 92 games again, I think the front office will be very happy heading into 2027. I think it's unacceptable if they win 85. Right? I think that's unacceptable to the front office. But they're not looking to go win 101, 105 games in a season. So they're really looking at players that kind of want 1-year prove-it deals, maybe a little bit older veteran players, for example, like, Chris Bassett. I could absolutely see the Cubs signing Chris Bassett. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if Ranger Suarez or Dylan Cease, for whatever reason, doesn't like their market because they're kind of coming off rough seasons. They want 1-year prove-it deals. That's right up the Cubs' alley, in my opinion. And I think those are the kind of deals the Cubs want to try and take advantage of, especially while they try and lock down this core of PCA, Michael Busch, Matt Shaw. I hope they extend Nico Horner as well. If Ian Happ wants to come back on the right deal, I'm okay with that as well. But I don't think they're going to be looking for 6-7 year deals with free agents. I think the only players that get those deals are the ones that are currently on the roster. They want to avoid arbitration with the likes of Michael Busch and PCA potentially down the line. So, again, a little bit older veteran players that are free agents, I can imagine the Cubs going for those 1-year deals with them, right? They're definitely not doing any 2-year deals. There's no way, unless they know something we don't. Maybe 3 or 4. Again, kind of targeting a guy like Zach Gallen maybe would be for them. But that's kind of the approach to 2026. They want to get close to 92 wins again. Because in their eyes, and it's a fair thought, the Brewers, I don't want to call the Brewers lucky, because they're not lucky. They're a really good baseball team. But when you think about it, they performed so well, right? Are they going to lead the league in infield hits again? Like, how do you lead the league in that? There's luck involved when you lead the league in infield hits. So the Cubs have to believe firmly that they're right there with the likes of the Milwaukee Brewers. Obviously, a couple more things need to go their way. Maybe if PCA develops a little more consistency at the plate, he can, challenge for an MVP spot. But again, this is the part that scares me with this Cubs team, especially if we don't get a big bat like a Kyle Tucker. I don't know if these guys are going to produce those numbers again. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I would love, everyone thinks growth is linear. It's not. It's up and down and rocky, and it's not pretty all the time. Could I see PCA having a regression? Unfortunately, I could. I really, really could. Could I see him popping off? Of course. I absolutely could. Michael Busch, I could see him staying stagnant. I kind of see him going all angles, especially for the young guys, especially as they kind of grow into their major league form and their bodies, et cetera, et cetera. So, again, I kind of see the Cubs going with a lot of 1-year deals in free agency, kind of supplementing the team and allowing Casey to play, allowing Kevin Alcantara to play, allowing Miguel Amaya to remain healthy, allowing PCA to get more ABs, allowing Matt Shaw and Michael Busch to continue to develop alongside the likes of Dansby Swanson, Nico Horner, and Ian Happ. That's how I think the Cubs are going to approach this season. We're already returning four of the 5 of the starting staff, bare minimum. That's including Justin Steele, who's due back in, late May, early June. We don't know how he's going to look, though. So I could see this front office not imagining they need a lot to add to this team, but I'm curious to see what they do. So please, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to drop a free agent's name in the comments below that you think I should take a look at for the channel. I'm going to be taking a look at a lot of free agents. I'm not going to say everyone's going to be a fit. I'm not going to, but I'm going to take a look at everybody because I think upgrades are understandable. And I think the Cubs front office does know that they need to upgrade this team so that we can get to that LCS and have a chance to go to the World Series. Because again, if you look at this World Series, right? Number 1 in payroll, number 3 in payroll. They pay these players a lot of money because they're big time. Shohei, Mookie, Freddie Freeman, Vlad Jr., George Springer. They're big time players, ladies and gentlemen. And I talked about it earlier this year for the Cubs. You know, when this channel first started, I would have gave up Michael Busch for Vlad Jr. I would have given up Michael Busch and multiple pieces for Vlad Jr. And you could sit there and call me crazy. And that's fine. That's because Vlad Jr. is the man. And he's absolutely deserving of that $500 million contract. Whether you want to believe that or not, that's the going rate for big-time bats in baseball. Plain and simple. Dodgers win the World Series in 24. You know their bats. Rangers win the World Series in 23. Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, $500 million combined for those guys, right? Who won in 22? Dodgers didn't win in 22. Who won in 22? Oh, Astros. We know what the Astros do. We know who they pay. So, again, it's kind of, that's my point, though, is the Cubs are going to have to spend money at some point. I don't think they're going to do it this year. I think they're waiting until that lockout is kind of cleared out. But you guys say, oh, the Cubs don't spend money. Yes, they traditionally don't spend money. You are absolutely correct. I will say this, though. When the time has come, during Ricketts' time, which really the time has only come one time in 2016, when it was time to open the checkbook, he did open the checkbook. So if he feels that this team is ready to compete with the likes of the Dodgers and the Phillies and the Brewers, I think he'll open the checkbook. Call it a hot take, call it whatever. But that's going to do it for today's edition of Cubs Daily. Again, if you guys are enjoying the content, please hit that subscribe button, that like button. You guys are the absolute best. Share your thoughts below. Call me crazy Cub fan, Cubs Kool-Aid, the whole 9 yards. I'm here for it. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk soon.